designed naturally for this. And here I am, someone who had disastrous boundaries for most of her life. I let people walk all over me all the time and then would flip the heck out and lose my mind and scream at someone or burn a bridge after they walked all over me forever. And they were like, where did that, what? It wasn't a healthy way to live. And I honestly didn't feel like I had amazing connections with people. I had trouble like really allowing myself to connect with people because that feeling of like being taken advantage of and walked all over and not cared for as much as I cared for other people made me put up barriers. Okay? Boundaries and barriers are very, very different. And once you really see the difference, they're not confusing anymore. But I really want to take some time to really talk about the difference. And while I'm doing that, I want you to ask me questions about, or tell me something about your experience with today, or ask me questions, anything to do with boundaries and barriers. We're going to get really deep into this over this week, but ask away. I'm going to be in here live every day to help you with this. So let's talk about, so ask away and I'll get to your questions afterwards, but let's talk about the difference between a boundary and a barrier. Okay. So a boundary is healthy. A boundary is something that we create from a place of love for both ourselves and for other people. In order to have a really great connection with somebody, there has to be a feeling of honesty and respect happening. And in order to really share that with someone, you have to feel as if they're going to tell you honestly what their needs are. Okay. So think of it as, for a minute, think of it as you're thinking of how your boundaries are with other people, not necessarily, or how you sense boundaries in other people, not necessarily how you put them out. Think of it that way for a second. Think about one of your best friends in the whole entire world. And imagine for a minute that that person felt like they couldn't honestly tell you if they didn't want to do something that you asked them to do, or that you were saying something to them or asking them about something that really, really hurt their feelings and they didn't want to speak up and tell you. They just kind of left that hurt inside. Imagine that somebody was, you were asking someone like, hey, could you help me with this? And they really couldn't. They really had too many other things to do, but they did it anyways, and then really had to suffer the consequences because they helped you and they didn't tell you that that's what was going on. Imagine that for a minute. That feels pretty sucky, right? That's not something that you want. That's not a way that you want to feel like you're doing to someone, right? So it goes both ways, guys. People want that. People will respect your boundaries if you put them up kindly, because what you're doing by having a boundary is saying to someone, I can be honest with you because I want to have a connection with you. I'm going to communicate my feelings to you. If somebody doesn't do that, what they're kind of saying is, I don't feel it like it's important enough for me to be vulnerable or to invest that or to be honest. So I'm just not going to go there. All right. Now that's not always why we don't put up barriers. It's usually the opposite of that, right? But doing that does send that message. All right. So think about it that way for a minute. Barriers are something that are formed out of a place of fear. Okay, so barriers go up because you're feeling afraid that somebody is going to hurt you or a group of people are going to hurt you. People have barriers up all the time that they don't really realize. They think that they're being smart or logical or tough. And what they're really doing is saying, I don't feel powerful enough to discern if someone's treating me well or not, or if they're going to. I don't feel powerful enough to deal with when somebody crosses over and hurts my feelings. So I'm just going to put up a wall so I don't have to. Most barriers, the seed gets planted that there should be a barrier here for us when we're little kids by watching our parents, mainly our moms, okay? And also by whatever emotional needs we felt like weren't being met or given attention to, okay? So we sort of plant a seed for those limits, for those barriers to go up based on those limits that form when we're kids. So understanding yourself is a huge part of being able to put down barriers and put those boundaries in place. I hope that makes sense to you. So whenever you're struggling to go, is this a barrier or is this a boundary? Look at the motivation for it. Was I motivated to create this rule, or to disconnect this relationship, or to not try to be, connected to those people because of love for myself and them, or because of fear? If you can see that, then you know if you have a boundary or a barrier. So let's say you do have a barrier. You're like, oh crap, this was totally out of fear. I decided I wasn't going to join that mom group and do stuff with them and volunteer with them. And that did come from a place of fear, because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to say, no, I can't do something, or that the women would hurt me. I'd want to be friends with them and then they'd be mean to me, or tear me down, or be jealous over something. So I didn't do it for that, but I think I actually wanted to do that. I think that's actually something that appealed to me. When you notice that, you can flip it. You can change it to a barrier by going, how can I come from this from a place of love instead of a place of fear? What would serve me? That question is huge. I would say the number one reason why people have problems putting up healthy boundaries is because they don't have a high enough level of self-worth to feel like they deserve to do that. They feel like all of those people, this is kind of a harsh truth, they feel like the people they'll put the boundaries up around will hurt them and reject them because they've spoken up, because they won't see enough value in who they are to respect them and to rise to them. And that's a whole load of bull cockadoodie, my friends. That's not true. There will be, we talk about this, I think in day 3 or day 4, when you start putting up boundaries, especially if you haven't had them in place, like maybe you had them a little bit, you put up better ones. Not as much of a reaction from people. But if you're someone who does not have boundaries and you start putting them up, people are going to freak the hell out. Okay? Prepare. It's okay. Let them be jumbled around by your sudden shift in power. That's okay. Allow them a little space to deal with that. But then you got to start to pay attention and notice, because here's another hard truth, my friends. The people who will not meet your boundaries, the people who don't respect them, are people who are not comfortable with you being powerful. I'm going to say that again. The people who will not respect your boundaries, who will not rise to them, who will not respect them, are people who are not comfortable with you having power. Those are not the kind of people you want to have close to you and in your life. They just aren't. They're not bad people, guys. They're awesome people, probably. They're just not feeling good about their own power. So when you rise in power, it's much easier for them to try to take you down or to try to pull away from you than to address their own feelings of needing to work through their barriers and feeling empowered themselves. Makes sense? So one of the things we do in this challenge is I teach you how to put people in different boundary levels, so you know how much of yourself to give to them and you know what to expect from them, so that they don't hurt you so much, so that you're not spending and investing so much time and energy on people who aren't serving and supporting you. Now listen, if you're panicking for a second because you're like, oh my God, there's nobody in my life that does those things. Well, I'm going to have no people. I'm not going to have anyone really close to me. That's not true, because when you create the space for those people and you start insisting and teaching people how to treat you, people will show up who want to treat you that way. Does that make sense? That's so powerfully true. I know that from personal experience. When you start saying to people, this is how I'd like you to treat me, not only will some of those people, most of them in your life, rise up and treat you that way, but you'll start attracting more people who are super excited to treat you that way. All right? The people who respect your boundaries and who cheer you on for creating them are the people who have good ones themselves, and are the people who are going to propel you forward in life, who are going to motivate you, who are going to bring you good energy, who are worth your time. I don't care if they're family members, friends, potential clients, any of those things. If they are respecting your boundaries and actually cheering you on as you create them and supporting you and really giving you that level of like, go you, those are the people you want around. So it's okay if there's less of them. There's not going to be a million cheerleaders, jumping and excited to support you. That's just life, and that's okay. But those people that are, they're gold. They're the people you should celebrate. And if you have a couple of them in your life, if you're lucky enough to, you want to be able to give them more of yourself, more of your energy, more of your time, more of you. You want to share more of your light with them. And you want to be able to lift them up and support them and cheer them on more, because that's what it's all about. Those are real, true, beautiful connections. And let me tell you, once you rise up to that level, the people that you meet, some of the people I've met since learning how to do boundaries and insisting it and showing people how to treat me, some of the people that I've met are people that I would consider soulmates of mine. They are so fantastic. They cheer me on. One of my favorite things to say is pay attention to who claps when you win, because some people aren't. They're not putting you down, but they're not clapping for you. Pay attention. All of a sudden, these people will show up once you start paying attention to that and having these boundaries in place, who are clapping and jumping up and down for you. And that feels really beautiful and good. And I want more empaths to experience that. It is not selfish or bitchy or mean to teach people how to treat you if you do it with kindness. It isn't. It's actually a gift you give people. It's saying to someone, you're special enough for me to tell you how I would like to feel. And I feel comfortable and I respect you enough to be honest with you about that. That's what you say when you do that. Being a powerful woman does not mean that you are a villain or a jerk or cold. Okay? Being a powerful man does not mean that you are putting other people down all the time and stronger than everybody. It's not a comparison thing. So whether you're a guy or a girl watching this, that's not the meaning. A powerful woman is someone who feels as if she has the power to create the life that she wants. Not that she has power over other people or wants to make other people feel bad. Listen, I could go off on a tangent for 5 hours, and I promise that I won't, about the women in power that we're taught. Look at Disney princess fairy tales. Any powerful woman in any of them is a villain. She's the bad guy. She's scorned some terrible story and she wants to wreak destruction. All of the good guys, the good women, are dead. There's no mothers in any of them. They were all kind, wonderful queens and princesses, and they don't even have a story. They're barely even mentioned, you guys. Women need this. We need to step up and be those powerful leaders who are showing you that power is good. Being around powerful women who are truly powerful, who really feel comfortable with who they are and in control of their own life, being around them is awesome. Have you ever been around one of those women? They're my favorite people to be around. They lift you up. They bring you higher. They're not competing with you because they're doing their own thing, right? Those are the people you want to be around. We don't have those examples. Try to name one famous woman, real or fiction, that has a beautiful balance of her life, who is comfortable in her role as a parent, whether she chose to be one or not. And if she is one, who feels like she has a good balance in that department, who has a career that she absolutely loves, that lives in her purpose and serves in a way that she's comfortable with, has fun and has hobbies and loves what she does, plus has a soulmate and a healthy, amazing relationship. Tell me one that has all three, that's also a kind, beautiful, soft, womanly figure. Crickets, right? I hope that you know someone, but they're probably not that famous, unfortunately. So guess what? Let's step up. Empaths, I'm calling you out. We got to stand up and we have to claim this power. And in order to do that, if you want to be one of those beautiful, powerful women that are so needed, we need to show this to the next generation. They need to name us when we ask them this question, okay? We so need to step up and be that. Let's do that. Let's be that. If you want to do that, you need to have boundaries in your life. That's how you do that. Boundaries are not being mean. There is nothing mean about having boundaries. Boundaries are saying that I respect myself and I respect you. That's what a boundary is. Makes sense? Okay. Let me get to your questions. Feel free to ask away, whether it has to do with this or anything that you want. Like I said, I was not born good at having boundaries. I was born bad at having boundaries because I'm an empath, okay? Now, people come to me, even fellow powerful women, ask me how to handle a situation so that everyone feels good, but they keep their personal power. They ask me to do that. The girl who was walked all over all the time when she was younger, okay? That same person. You can do it. It's not something that you have to be born with like this bitchy gene that, you know, shuts people down and you just walk around cold. No, that's never my goal. My goal is to always make somebody feel good, no matter what, right? So when we stand up and we stand in that power, we set an example. And we give people permission to be themselves. If you're around somebody who's always walked all over, it's not going to inspire you to be more powerful yourself. But if you're around someone who is powerful and who respects herself, but is also kind and lifts everyone up at the same time, you're going to be inspired to be more that way. So you make the whole world better, but you don't serve anybody or anything if you let everyone walk all over you. You just enable people who are lost in their own power struggles to stay there, okay? So you got to look at serving and enabling and seeing that difference. Okay,